I'm excited for the release of Starfield. I've been waiting for this for quite some time, and to show how excited I am, I even started this YouTube channel to cover absolutely everything to do with Starfield, and there'll be even more content on the release, but it's still not a perfect game. And in this video, I'm going to highlight some of the problems that Starfield is likely to face. But before we do get into the video, if you do want to know more about Starfield, whether that be the positives or negatives, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because that is all we do on this channel, going from now all the way up to the release and from the release to beyond. But getting back into today's video, the things which really set Starfield back. Firstly, we need to talk about how there's no land vehicles or mounts, making Starfield pretty much a walking simulator. When first advertised, players liked the idea of being able to travel across 1,000 planets, but across every single one of those planets, you will land your ship, get out your ship, and just walk, run, or maybe even use a jetpack. But it still doesn't take it away of it being a walking simulator. Now, for some, there is hopes that in the future Bethesda will release an update of vehicles which you can then use on planets. That would be awesome, as well as it's likely that there will be mods available at some point, considering Bethesda are supporting the modding community, and this being a major issue, that someone is likely to bring a vehicle within game that you can then use. But the fact you need to do that and it's not already part of the game is a massive issue. If you did truly want to explore a planet for what it has to offer, you're going to have to walk from point A to point B, wherever point B may actually be in itself. And there's also another issue with this. There is no manual landing or takeoff. It's always a cutscene. You'll select the planet that you want to land on and it'll go through a cutscene of you landing. You can pinpoint the exact location of where you want to land, but that's as far as it goes. So even though our previous point of there being no land vehicles or mounts, you can't really use your spaceship as well to just fly across the planet, unless you leave that planet to then select a new location where you want to land to then land again, which is going to be very tedious. When you're walking around, you get to a point, you look across, you see there's something in the distance, you can't be bothered to actually walk that distance, so you need to fast travel back to your own spaceship to then fly out into space, to then fly all the way back down to that planet and land. Yet again, emphasizing the problem of it pretty much being a walking simulator unless you go through these tedious actions of where you actually want to go for every single planet. But I guess good news is that there's over 1,000 planets, right? Surely that's a positive. Well, yes, and also no. Yes, there's a load of planets for you to explore, but what are you actually exploring? It has been revealed quite recently that only 10% of planets actually have life. That means, just for simplicity within numbers, let's say that there's 100 planets in total that has life on them. Out of those 100, that doesn't guarantee that they're also going to have the resources that you need, as well as we also need to highlight that it might not have anything else to offer other than the wildlife that lives there. And this becomes a bit more of an issue with procedural generation. See, procedural generation is needed for a game like this. The amount of hours that it would take, as well as the amount of space that you would need on each platform for you to play this game, would be ridiculous. So procedural generation is needed, but that also has its own drawbacks. For each planet, it works out the same. They'll have their own rule sets, highlighting what plants, resources, animals, any types of specific structures which are part of that planet, any dynamic events, pretty much anything that will be part of that planet. And once it actually comes to in-game, you wanting to actually land there, it'll go through the cutscene, and during that cutscene, the planet will build itself out. This is great in some ways because it means that the planet that you explore will be different from what every other player gets to explore. No planet will be the same, but yet again, because there is over 1,000 planets, and for each of these, there is only 10% which do have life, and there are limited things that can happen on each. It means you've got a whole planet which doesn't always have something to offer. So why would you actually go to explore them? in most cases, unless a specific mission tells you to visit them, you're unlikely to go and see every single one. There's only going to be a very small percentage of people that actually go through each and every single planet that is available. And based on content, it's unlikely that every single one of these planets will have anything remotely beneficial to offer. I like the idea that for everything that you can explore, there would be something to find, but that's not guaranteed, even with collectibles. Out of all the gameplay reveals and trailers so far, on average, there's about 3 to 5 plants, about 3 resources, and a maximum of 5 animals that are habitable to the planets that have been shown so far. Now, I'm hoping that Bethesda have just taken these planets as an example, and actually there's other planets that offer a lot more, but at the exact same time, probably not the case. They're using these and picked these specifically for the trailer because they want to show off absolutely everything that gets players excited and ultimately going to pre-order the game. But that's the highest that they go. And that feeds into the next point. The lack of incentives to actually explore planets. Because it's also been revealed that planets themselves don't offer anything too special other really than exploration and being able to see something amazing and beautiful. But in terms of gameplay, in terms of getting resources so that you can build your ships and do what you need to do to customize your character, cargo ships and other spaceships that are available within the game have the exact same resources that you'll need. So if that's your goal, to equip yourself and get the best possible experience in terms of building your character, getting the best gear, the best weapons, the best spaceships, why would you explore planets for the exact same resources when you're not going to get as much, it's going to take a lot longer, and because of the lack of land vehicles, mounts, and other things for you to explore, why would you do it? End of. Why would you just not stay out in space, fighting off and stealing all the ships that are available and going on to sell all the stuff that you managed to get, use all the stuff that you managed to get to build your character further, or sell the massive spaceships that you've been able to steal? These are questions that some players have already been asking based off Starfield Direct when everything was revealed in terms of the gameplay and what you can do within game. And with all of this, we do need to talk about performance. A big letdown and something which has caught mass media attention is that Starfield will be limited to 30 FPS. Now the reason for this is because Bethesda want players to enjoy Starfield till its fullest, so that everything will look its best graphic wise, and because of that, it means that performance is going to be locked at 30 FPS. Now, with this, it's fair for developers to want players to experience the game at its best. They spend all of this time putting the work in, making it look amazing. Of course, they want players to see it at its fullest potential, but it really does come down to the player. For a lot of players, they would much rather be playing a game at high performance 60 FPS and have lower graphic settings for them to get the best experience. And not even having an option available, completely locking it out so that players can't make the choice, is a big letdown. But it's not just that. PC requirements are also quite demanding. Starfield is already the highest wishlisted item available on Steam, and it's also the one which has the most pre-orders. There is a lot of people going for this. There's already been complaints based on system requirements, as it will require at least an i7 and listed a 1070 Ti. This is just the minimum, and based on what Bethesda have revealed of there not really being much options for you to change certain parts of the game so it best suits the platform that you're playing on, as well as what you actually like to see within game, it is an issue. Now, of course, with this, Steam themselves, normally people put a higher minimum. It is, in a lot of cases, slightly exaggerated, so that you probably could get away with slightly less, but we also can't ignore that even though you may be able to get away with something slightly less than what the minimum requirements are, it's also the case of it still being a lot higher than what other games are, which are somewhat similar, especially in terms of graphical style. This means, just based on the stuff that we've talked about within this video, you're going to be locked in at 30 FPS, the requirements are going to be high, you need a pretty decent PC. All of this for you to more or less play within a walking simulator. As there's no vehicles, no mounts, you can't fly around planets, you only have a cutscene for landing and takeoff, only 10% of planets have life, and with procedural generation, they're based around rule sets where you're limited on how many plants, resources, or animals will be habitable to each planet. In most cases, it's a max of 5 for each, based on what's been revealed so far. Now with this video, let us know all of your concerns within the comment section down below, but with this channel, we try to be neutral, highlighting the positives as well as negatives. So our next video goes through 9 reasons why you should be hyped for the Starfield release. That video is up next and available on screen right now, so if you click that, we'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.